They believed we were finished. They forgot who taught fire to the stars. The Galactic Council chamber floated in orbit above the twin suns of Illithra, a radiant ring world of glass, gold, and arrogance. From its vaulted ceilings hung banners of 20 alien empires, shimmering in the filtered sunlight of 2 million lumens. The chamber's floor, a transparent dome of reinforced crystal, offered a breathtaking view of the stars below. And if one looked closely enough, the smoldering ruins of the Terran colony of Varela III still burning. The council gathered to celebrate victory. High Chancellor Varen of the Varelian Dominion stood at the central dais, his scale form glimmering like liquid chrome beneath the halo lights. His voice was smooth and cold, echoing through the massive chamber. "The human rebellion is over," he declared. "Their fleet scattered, their colonies gone, their world silent. The Terran species is extinct in spirit, if not yet in body." A murmur of satisfaction rippled across the chamber. The air shimmered with the scent of alien flora and ozone, the aroma of victory. From the side gallery, Ambassador Daniel Reeve, the sole human present, sat motionless. His once black uniform now looked faded, the fabric scorched and patched from old explosions. His rank insignia had been stripped long ago. They'd allowed him to stay as a representative, a trophy of a fallen species. The Chancellor turned his burning yellow eyes toward him. "Ambassador Reeve," Varen purred, "perhaps you'd care to confirm for the record that your world accepts surrender?" Reeve didn't move. His face, pale and worn, gave nothing away. He simply adjusted the small datapad in his hands. A faint red light blinked at its corner. "Earth," he said quietly, "does not surrender." The council chamber erupted in laughter. The sound, a discordant chorus of a dozen species, filled the hall. One delegate, a towering insectoid from the Car-A swarm, clacked its mandibles. "Your fleets are dust. Your colonies are glass. What's left to fight with human? Stones." Another voice joined, the soft metallic ring of a Quarathi AI diplomat. "Your communications are silent. Your shipyards are offline. You no longer exist as a military power." Reeve looked up at them, eyes cold as vacuum. "You keep saying that," he murmured, "as if saying it makes it true." The laughter faltered. Varen leaned forward, eyes narrowing. The Terran race was given a chance to submit peacefully. Your kind refused. What remains of you will be integrated. Reeve said nothing. His thumb brushed the datapad again, twice deliberate, far beyond the chamber. Deep within soul space, a hidden satellite awakened from hibernation. A signal, buried beneath layers of encrypted code, pulsed toward Earth. Mars High Command, ruins of Olympus Base. Wind howled through the shattered domes. The red sands of Mars swirled through the broken corridors of what was once the beating heart of the Earth fleet. Now, only shadows and silence remained, until a low hum broke through the stillness. A figure emerged from the dust, Admiral Sarah Kalin, her armor scorched, her face streaked with soot and resolve. She knelt beside an ancient console and brushed the dust from a control panel. A flicker of blue light illuminated the underground chamber. "Command Core Stable," a voice echoed, the artificial tone of the base AI, Ares. Awaiting authorization. Kalin placed her hand on the biometric pad. The system scanned, beeped, and then came alive. Authorization confirmed. Phoenix protocol unlocked. The floor trembled. Massive steel gates, sealed since the early days of the war, began to open. Beneath the red Martian crust-laying ocean of light, rows upon rows of buried ships, half-assembled, silent for years. "Activate all foundries," Kalin ordered. "Reignite SolNet relays. Signal the lunar bastion. Earth is not finished." Ares pulsed in acknowledgement. "Initiating global reactivation. Estimated completion, 72 hours." Kalin turned toward the flickering hologram of Earth above the console. "They think we're broken," she said softly. "Let them." Back in the council chamber, a messenger drone zipped into the chamber, hovering beside Chancellor Varen. Its metallic carapace flashed crimson, urgent transmission. The Chancellor frowned and opened the feed. A wave of static filled the air, followed by a distorted voice. "Council Command," This is Patrol Group 19, approaching Sol perimeter, detecting multiple. The signal cut off. Silence. Interference, murmured the Korathi delegate. Perhaps human sabotage. Varen waved it off. Their communications are broken. Their colonies in ruins. A dying ember flickering in the dark. Reeves smiled faintly, a small, dangerous smile. You should be careful with embers, he said. They tend to start fires. The Chancellor's tail flicked in irritation. You speak of fire, human, yet your species is ash. Reeves stood, slow and steady. His voice dropped to a low, deliberate tone. Ash is what's left after something burns. That means there was a fire. He stepped closer, the blinking red light on his datapad still pulsing. You've made a mistake. You mistook silence for defeat. You mistook rebuilding for surrender. But we're still here. The chamber lights dimmed. The massive holographic star map in the room flickered, then glitched. For a moment, a new pattern appeared. Unknown ship signatures, faint but real, began to emerge along the Sol border. 1, then 10, then hundreds. The council erupted into shouts and confusion. Impossible. Their fleet was destroyed. These readings, they can't be real. Reeve looked up at the display, then back at the Chancellor. You wanted confirmation of humanity's surrender? He straightened his torn uniform, the faint glint of forgotten insignia catching the chamber light. Consider this our reply. Earth, the cradle reawakens. Beneath the crust of the planet, the titan forges of Nairobi roared back to life. Rivers of molten steel flowed through magnetic channels. Towers of industry lit the night like suns reborn. Across the moon's surface, automated shipyards opened like blooming metal flowers. Black silhouettes, massive dreadnoughts with Terran markings, began to rise from lunar dust. At the center of it all, in orbit above Earth, hung the unfinished flagship, ESS Invictus, a vessel built from the shattered remains of 10 lost fleets. Admiral Kalen stood on the bridge scaffold, surrounded by the glow of welding sparks and construction drones. Ares, she said, status of orbital defenses, reactivation at 42%, power returning to the Solnet, incoming encrypted signal, source, Earth Embassy, Council Channel. Patch it through? Reeves' voice crackled through the comms. Phase 1 complete. The Council suspects nothing. Kalen smiled, not with joy, but with grim purpose. Good. Then we begin Phase 2. She turned toward the half-finished window overlooking Earth, blue and bright against the black void. Let them think we're weak. By the time they realize the truth, her eyes narrowed, voice cold as steel, will already be in orbit above their home world. Lunar shipyards, hidden beneath the gray. The moon had always been silent, a graveyard of craters and forgotten dreams. But now it thundered. From orbit, Earth's moon looked alive. Miles-wide hangar doors peeled open like iron petals, releasing waves of steam and molten frost. The lunar surface glowed with veins of blue plasma as the subterranean shipyards of Selene, once decommissioned by treaty, roared to life after decades of dormancy. Inside, towering frames of black alloys stood half-complete, each one the skeleton of a ship. Massive magnetic cranes swung overhead, welding beams and plating in clouds of sparks. Admiral Sarah Kalen stood in the command tower, her reflection mirrored across the glass as the first of the Earth fleet came online. Ares, she said. Status report. Primary reactor stable. Slip drive cores charging. Fleet count. 214 vessels under construction. 52 combat ready. Kalen's jaw tightened. Not enough. Production accelerating exponentially, replied Ares. Civilian industrial nodes have joined the grid. Earth's population has initiated voluntary labor protocols. Kalen exhaled, half in awe, half in sorrow. The people of Earth had been silent for years, watching their colonies burn. Now they were rising, miners, engineers, farmers, all volunteering to rebuild the fleet. Every home became a forge. Every worker, a soldier. Earth, the forges awakened. Across Earth, lights returned to cities once thought dead. In the ruins of old megacities, Shanghai, Lagos, Sao Paulo, new industries pulsed to life. Towering foundries poured molten metal, into starship molds. The Terran Assembly, now a shadow government operating beneath Earth's crust, issued a single broadcast across the planet. This is not a call to arms. This is a call to finish what they started. Humanity stands united. Operation Phoenix is active. Families watch from underground shelters as vast orbital elevators carried steel, fuel, and dreams into the sky. On the orbital plane, Kalen observed the feed. One screen for every city contributing to the rebirth of the fleet. Every nation, every flag, one purpose, she murmured. We've never been this united, not even in peace. Ares flickered to her side. Unity achieved through necessity. A rare but effective catalyst. Kalen allowed herself a small smile. You're learning sarcasm, Ares. Observation. It seems efficient for morale. Council core world, shadows of doubt. Far from Earth, deep within the glimmering spires of the Council core world, uncertainty had begun to spread like a virus. The first reports arrived quietly, a mining convoy missing near the Sol periphery. Then a reconnaissance patrol vanished. Then an entire Varelian listening post. Gone, without distress signal, without trace. In the Council's war chamber, High Chancellor Varen studied the data projected before him. Static, hissed the Korathi AI delegate. All transmissions end mid-sentence. Perhaps cosmic storms, offered the insectoid Kari Admiral. The Terran system is unstable. No, Varen growled. Look closer. There. He pointed one clawed finger at the holographic map. In the silence of space, faint but deliberate, a new signal flickered along the Sol border. A transponder code. Earth Command reauthorized. The room fell dead silent. Impossible, one delegate whispered. Their command network was erased. Apparently, Varen muttered, they rebuilt it. He turned, eyes narrowing. Send recon drones immediately. If the humans are stirring, I want their embers crushed before they spark. Jupiter orbit, black ships rising. Back in Sol space, the outer system burned with light. Between Jupiter's swirling storms and its glittering rings of debris, the Earth fleet assembled. Warships, sleek, angular, and dark as obsidian, slipped from dry dock, their hulls lined with adaptive armor. Each ship bore a name carved in glowing white. Resolve, Vengeance, Odyssey, Redemption, Horizon. Admiral Kalen stood aboard her command ship, the unfinished Invictus, now functional enough to house a new fleet command. Fleet synchronization complete, reported Ares. All units online. Kalen watched as each ship aligned formation, hundreds of them forming concentric rings around the Invictus. The black steel of the Terran fleet gleamed against the orange glare of Jupiter's storms. Transmit on open frequency, she said. Ares pulsed. Channel open. Kalen's voice echoed across Sol. To every surviving ship, every soldier, every engineer, the time for silence is over. The Council thinks us broken. Let them believe it a little longer. But hear me now. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity endures. A cheer erupted across the comms. Hundreds of ships answered in unison. A thunderous, wordless roar of defiance. The Council learns fear. Within 48 hours, the Council recon fleet arrived at Sol's edge, 30 ships strong. They expected ruins. Instead, they found nothing. No signals. No debris. No resistance. Just darkness. All systems nominal, reported a Varelian officer. No human presence detected. Then their sensors flickered. For a heartbeat, an enormous shape passed between them and the sun, a shadow too large to comprehend. What in the core? Before the officer could finish, the fleet's communications went dark. From the void, a single human transmission pierced the static. Sol space is sovereign. You are trespassing. The recon commander barely had time to turn before the black void tore open, slip-space distortions flaring like blue fire. Dozens of Terran ships burst into existence, their cannons already charging. The battle lasted 3 minutes. None of the Council ships survived. The War Council reconvenes. Back in the Grand Chamber, panic simmered beneath the polished veneer of diplomacy. 30 ships gone, shouted the insectoid delegate. In seconds, Reports confirmed Terran presence. Drone the Korathi AI. New fleet configuration detected. Composition unknown. High Chancellor Varen slammed a clawed fist onto the table. They were supposed to be extinct. Ambassador Daniel Reeve, the lone human, stood once again in the corner of the chamber, his hands folded calmly behind his back. "We've been called many things," he said softly. "Extinct isn't one of them." The Chancellor glared at him. "You will tell us where your fleet hides." Reeve tilted his head slightly, the faintest hint of a smirk tugging at his mouth. "If you have to ask," he said, "you're already too late." The chamber lights dimmed. Another hologram flickered to life, this one directly from the Council's outer defense network. It showed an impossible image. A fleet, black as the abyss, moving in perfect formation beyond Jupiter, growing larger with every scan. "They're coming," whispered one of the delegates. "No," Reeves said quietly. "We're coming back." Invictus, command bridge. Kalen stood before the massive viewport as the Earth fleet assembled in full strength. The flagship's hull glowed faintly with the heat of its newly activated quantum slip core. "Ares," she said, "prepare long-range jump calibration." Destination? Kalen's eyes hardened. Council core world, the heart of their empire. Warning, probability of survival never mattered. The AI paused, acknowledged. Across the bridge, her officers straightened, silent but resolute. Humanity was no longer hiding, no longer surviving. They were coming to finish it. Kalen watched as the planet Earth rose behind. Council core world, orbiting Illithra Prime. The Council chamber had not known fear in 1,000 years. Until now, reports streamed in from across the stars, garbled transmissions, cut off distress calls, fleets vanishing without trace. The Galactic Council, a dominion that spanned half the known galaxy, was watching its authority disintegrate, one world at a time. High Chancellor Varen stared at the holographic display hovering over the center of the chamber. The map glittered with red. Entire sectors gone dark. "Confirmed losses?" he demanded. The Korathi AI delegate's voice crackled through 1,000 data channels. 7 fleets destroyed. 12 colonies unresponsive. Estimated civilian casualties incalculable. A deep, vibrating growl echoed from the insectoid Kare general beside him. "This is madness." The Terrans had no ships left. "And yet they're everywhere," hissed the Varelian aide. "They strike without warning. No pattern, no mercy." The Chancellor's claws dug into the metal railing. "These attacks, they must be pirates, rebels, mercenaries. Humanity cannot." He stopped mid-sentence as the chamber lights flickered. The star map shifted. From the edge of the galaxy, an encrypted signal had been intercepted. It was faint but deliberate. The translator rendered it into galactic standard, each word crackling with defiant static. "For every world you burned, for every voice you silenced, Earth remembers." Gasps filled the hall. Even the AI paused its data stream. The humans were sending messages now. Not distress calls, but warnings. Outer colonies. The ghosts return. On the outskirts of the Council's frontier, the world of Karathor bustled with trade. Its skies filled with silver freighters. Its inhabitants, reptilian and proud, believed themselves safe from the chaos spreading across the core systems. That illusion ended at dawn. A tremor split the horizon. Atmospheric sensors screamed as the clouds parted and black silhouettes descended from orbit, ships that did not appear on any Council registry. The lead vessel broadcast a single transmission before opening fire. Humanity does not forget. In minutes, the city's orbital defenses were turned to molten glass. The human ships didn't linger. They hit, vanished, and left only silence. Survivors whispered of ghosts. Ships moving faster than sensors could track. Pilots who fought like extensions of their machines. Weapons that tore reality apart. The Council called them myths. But every hour, another world burned. Council Emergency Assembly, Session 4721. The chamber that once echoed with diplomacy now trembled with chaos. Delegates shouted over one another, accusations, demands, fear. They're retaliating, one screamed. Retaliation implies proportion, another countered. This is extermination. Then perhaps we should have been kinder when we were conquerors, muttered an older voice, trembling. At the far end of the hall, Ambassador Daniel Reeve sat in silence. He no longer wore the faded uniform of a defeated man. The tattered Earth emblem had been restored, a small, glowing insignia over his heart. High Chancellor Varen pointed at him with a trembling claw. You will tell us how they returned, how you rebuilt your fleets under our surveillance. Reeve met his gaze without flinching. You never understood us, he said quietly. You thought victory was destroying our ships, our armies, our colonies. He leaned forward. But humanity doesn't live in its machines. We live in each other. Poetic, spat the Carre general. But you cannot win against the Council. You will run out of ships, out of fuel, out of... The holographic map interrupted her. New data flared across projection. Council Armory 17 destroyed. Fleet base of Varus offline. High orbit fortress fallen. Reeves' expression didn't change. You were saying? Earth Fleet Command, flagship Invictus. The Invictus glided through the void, surrounded by hundreds of Terran warships. Each vessel operated as one. Connected to the Neural Command network, a quantum-linked web allowing every human pilot to share thoughts, reflexes, and targeting data in real time. Admiral Sarah Kalin stood on the command deck, eyes fixed on the holographic starfield. Ares status? Operation Phantom proceeding as projected. Strike Groups Alpha through Epsilon have neutralized 22 Council installations. Casualties minimal. And the response, fragmented. Council fleets are reacting unpredictably. Their command hierarchy is collapsing. Kalin nodded slowly. They're realizing what we become. Ares pulsed faintly beside her. Observation. The enemy's fear index has increased by 76%. Suggests exploiting psychological collapse. Kalin allowed herself a tight grin. Execute as you see fit. Moments later, the Invictus's comm channels opened. Across 1,000 enemy frequencies, the same message played. The human anthem of war. The sound of a heartbeat followed by silence, then 3 words. We are awake. Council Corps Defense Command, Illithra orbit. Panic. Pure, unprecedented panic. The Council's central defense grid, once the most impenetrable network in the galaxy, was under siege. Unknown ships had appeared just beyond sensor range, too far to engage, yet close enough to be seen. Massive, black silhouettes hovered in the void, unmoving, as if watching. Varen gripped the railing of the command center. Why do they not attack? Perhaps they wait, the Korathi AI replied. For effect, another delegate whispered. They're sending a message. Before Varen could respond, the holographic comms flared to life. A figure appeared, Admiral Kalin, standing aboard the Invictus. This is Admiral Sarah Kalin of Earth Command. Gasps echoed through the chamber. You demanded our surrender. You took our colonies. You slaughtered our people. And when we fell silent, you mistook that silence for defeat. Her voice hardened, cold and sharp as a blade. You were wrong. The broadcast cut off. Instantly, every screen in the council chamber filled with light. Thousands of human ships decloaked across the core's outer rim. Dreadnoughts, carriers, destroyers, each bearing the mark of a burning Earth. They're here, whispered a guard. Orbit above Illithra Prime, the first salvo. Without warning, the void erupted. Humanity's fleet moved with impossible precision, every ship acting as a single, living organism. Plasma lances pierced through the Council's defensive lines. Planetary shield shattered under sustained fire. The Invictus advanced at the center, its massive silhouette blotting out the stars. Ares, Kalin ordered. Full power to forward batteries. Target the orbital fortress. Lock confirmed. The Invictus's main cannon, a graviton singularity launcher, fired. A ripple of distorted gravity tore through space, crushing the fortress into atoms. Within minutes, the Council's entire outer defense fleet lay in ruins. Varen watched the destruction from the safety of his command balcony. Impossible, he whispered. This cannot be real. In the distance, the Invictus turned slowly toward the planet, its engines glowing blue-white. Kalen's voice echoed through every open channel in the system. This is for Varela, for Mars, for every world you burned. Then came silence. The humans did not bombard the surface. They simply waited. Hundreds of warships hanging above the Council's capital world like judgment itself. Orbit above Illithra Prime. Space glowed white. The Council's last fortress burned silently in the upper atmosphere, its fragments tracing silver scars across the night side of the planet. Beneath the wreckage hung the Earth fleet, hundreds of black hole giants haloed in blue plasma light. Every ship carried the same insignia, a blazing Earth encircled by a single phrase, Invictus Mene. On the bridge of the flagship, Admiral Sarah Kalen watched the world spin below. Her reflection in the glass was ghost pale. The weight of centuries rested on her shoulders. Ares, she said softly. Status of planetary defenses. All shield networks offline. Orbital batteries disabled. Enemy fleet capacity negligible. Kalen nodded. Then open a channel. A moment later, her image filled every Council broadcast, every personal device, every screen on Illithra Prime. Leaders of the Galactic Council. She began, voice steady as iron. This is Admiral Kalen of the United Terran Fleet. 2 years ago you demanded Earth surrender. You gave us extinction instead. Today, we return the favor, mercy included. Her words echoed across the planet. In the Grand Chamber, High Chancellor Varen trembled before the hologram. You can't win, he spat. The Council rules half the galaxy. Then half the galaxy will remember this day, Kalen replied. Not for conquest, but consequence. The Council's fall. Across the core, communication relays blinked to life, each one broadcasting the same feed from the Terran flagship. Billions watched as the Council's mighty fleets drifted, powerless, surrounded by human warships. Admiral Kalen raised one hand. Deactivate primary weapons. We are not conquerors. The order rippled through the formation. Cannons dimmed. Launch bays sealed. The silence that followed was heavier than battle. Inside the Council chamber, Ambassador Daniel Reeves stepped forward. He no longer looked like a captive. He looked like history in motion. Chancellor, he said, you once told me humanity's weakness was compassion. Was I wrong? Varen hissed. No, Reeve answered quietly. You were right, and that's why you're still alive. He pressed a small device to the table. The holographic seal of Earth command shimmered above it. A treaty rewritten. Sign this, Reeve continued. Dismantle your occupation fleets and the slave markets. Release every world under Council chains. Do that and Earth withdraws. Refuse, and we finish what you started. Varen looked from the document to the stars outside, the black silhouettes waiting. He saw his empire dying not by destruction but by truth. Slowly, with shaking claws, he signed. Silence before the dawn. The war ended without another shot. The Council's banners were lowered, replaced by a single transmission broadcast across the galactic net. The Terran Accord, peace by survival. Every species, every colony, heard it. No cheering followed, only quiet disbelief. On board the Invictus, Kalen stood alone in the observation dome. Below her, Illithra Prime glowed with dawnlight. The once untouchable capital now looked small, fragile, alive. Ares flickered beside her. Victory achieved, awaiting further directives. Kalen shook her head. No more directives. No more wars. Begin withdrawal. Query, will humanity seek expansion? She smiled faintly. We've already expanded, Ares, into their nightmares and their respect. A message to the stars. Hours later, Reed prepared a transmission for the Galactic Archives. It would play once, then repeat across every known relay for 1,000 years. To the peoples of the galaxy, his voice began, calm and resolute. This is humanity's final message. We do not seek empires. We do not crave dominion. We ask only to stand among you, equal and unbroken. You answer with fire. We answer with endurance. Remember that peace is not the absence of strength. It is a choice to use it sparingly. He paused, gazed distant. We are not your enemies, but never mistake our silence for surrender again. Departure of the fleet. One by one, the Earth ships broke formation. Their drives ignited in unison, streaking toward the black. The Invictus lingered last, its engines painting blue ribbons across the void. Kaylin watched the Council world shrink behind them. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to breathe. "Ares," she said. "Set course for Sol." "Acknowledge." Navigation locked. The AI hesitated, then added, almost softly, "Welcome home, Admiral." Kaylin looked out at the stars, whispering, "Home isn't a place anymore. It's the people who refuse to die." The ship leapt into slip space, vanishing in a storm of light. Epilogue. Echoes of Earth. Centuries later, travelers would tell stories of the night the sky above Illithra Prime turned black with Terran ships. Children of every race would grow up learning the name Invictus. The Council rebuilt, humbler and wiser. They opened embassies on neutral worlds and carved the words of Terran according to their halls. Strength without mercy is tyranny. Mercy without strength is extinction. Balance is survival. And somewhere beyond map space, a silent beacon drifted, an old Earth transmission repeating endlessly into the dark. "We are the children of Sol. We fall, we rise, and we endure." The stars listened, and the galaxy never doubted humanity again.